All right, welcome back to The Exchange. Certainly it's been a busy week for Connecticut, or at least people in Connecticut. Earlier today, the state announced that it was suing Kalshi and seeking a court injunction to block unlicensed sports betting. The state is also contending with the current U.S.-Canada tariff battle around concerns about being cut off from a key energy supplier. Also, Connecticut was, like most states, a part of the Meta settlement yesterday. The government saying that social media is often anti-social media. Let's talk about that and more. Joining us is Ned Lamont. He is the Democratic governor of Kalshi. Governor Lamont, there's a lot to talk about. Let's talk about Kalshi first. Obviously, we have a commercial relationship with Kalshi. I want to just disclose that first and foremost. Is your beef primarily with the sports betting side of Kalshi or all sides of Kalshi?
Let's start with the sports betting. Just played by the same set of rules as the rest of our sports betting does here in Connecticut. You can't market to young people under a certain age. Here I am at University of Connecticut. You can't bet on University of Connecticut sports. I just want to have them play by the same set of rules as the rest of sports betting here in the state.
So, yeah, because you've got sports betting in Connecticut, you've got Mohegan Sun, you've got some other casinos. So that's really the issue. What behavior would they have to change to please the state of Connecticut?
I think first and foremost, no marketing to young people. Keep them off. We're about to talk about Facebook and Meta. Same idea. We have a set of rules here to protect our young people. I like to see them play by those rules.
All right, so let's go to that Meta settlement. 47 states and the District of Columbia, almost all of them, signing on to that settlement. I don't know how much exact money that the state of Connecticut will get, but what do you plan to do with whatever settlement you do receive, Governor?
So first of all, Brian, very little is bipartisan in this day and age. That was a very bipartisan. Attorney generals from, both parties across the country. There's just a sense that Meta was aggressively marketing to young people and getting them hooked. And we started here in the state of Connecticut going back a couple of years now, trying to give parental permission, make sure that they have control over what algorithms their younger kids are able to see. So I think that was a very good program. We're going to get about $25 million a year. And a lot of that's going into mental health in our schools, just trying to help the kids out.
Meta's point of view is that people say, well, they could have done more. They should have done more. Meta's point of view, and I'm not defending Meta in any way, Governor, but I would agree with this, is that, hey, we're not the only social media platform out there. There's Snapchat and there's TikTok and there's other things as well. And that those companies should also do more. They're the ones that also need the industry as a whole, in other words, needs to come together to find a solution. It's not a Meta-only problem. Would you agree with that?
I agree 100%. Just like we said, Kalshi should play by the same set of rules as sports betting. I think TikTok and the other guys should play by the same set of rules as Meta has now agreed to. It doesn't work. Otherwise, you're just going to jump from platform to platform. So I think the way the deal is set up is there are strong incentives to make sure those other guys come on board as well.
Let's switch gears. We got a lot of topics here, Governor, and you're just pounding through it. I like it. Let's talk about tariffs. Some more new tariffs on our Canadian trade partners. They've got tariffs on some of our stuff, too, as well. So I want to be clear on that. How might this impact the price of lumber? Say, from Canada, imported lumber goes up, and you want to build a house, Middletown, Connecticut. I would imagine your home building costs are going to go up. What's your take on tariffs? What can we do?
I think it's the dumbest damn thing we're doing. It's the longest peacetime border in the world, Canada and the United States. Why are we picking a battle with Canada is beyond me. But it's expensive. Tariffs are a tax. You said starting off with wood. I have a housing shortage in this state. We're building more housing than ever before. Why jack up the price of housing at this moment? We bring in about 10% of our electricity. That's natural gas and hydro come from Connecticut. We have high electric prices. Why do you want to jack up the price of electric if they put tariffs on electricity coming in from Canada? Dumb.